Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and welcome to Tufting 101. I want to do a series of videos about like the basics of tufting. So there will definitely be more episodes after this, but for today, we're going to start with we're going to start with 4 of the most important tufting tips that I could come up with. If you're a beginner to tufting, these will get you through your first rug. And if you're new here and you're like, who the hell are you? I don't blame you. But this is where I started. And this is where I am now. Let's get started. All right, so tip number 1 is all about tufting fabric. This is tufting fabric. It's a fabric that has a lot of space between the threads so that your tufting gun can get in there without like cutting holes, you know. In general, there are 2 different kinds of tufting fabric. The white one with the orange lines, it might not have to be orange, the white fabric, and the gray fabric. The white fabric is usually a blend of cotton and polyester, and the gray fabric can sometimes still be a blend of those 2 things, but sometimes it can also be 100% polyester like mine is. The white tufting fabric tends to be less expensive, while the gray tufting fabric tends to be a bit more expensive, but there's a reason for that. The gray fabric is definitely more durable. I think that's just because it has a higher percentage of polyester, whereas the white fabric has more cotton in it, which makes the fabric less durable, and it also stretches more. You'll understand once we put the fabric on the frame. I also found that the white fabric got holes in it easier. When you look up close to the white fabric, it's a bit more thready, whereas when you look up close to the gray fabric, it's kind of like these solid threads. With all of that said, the white fabric, you can definitely still make rugs with it. If you can, go for the gray fabric. I think you'll have a better time learning tufting. All right, let's stretch this fabric on my frame. So tufting frames have these tack strips all along the sides, and these tack strips have teeny tiny little deadly nails, and a whole bunch of them. And when you're looking at a tufting frame, all of these nails are facing outward. So the nails on this side are facing this way. The nails up there are going up. The nails on the bottom are going down. You get it. They're all facing outward. And they're like that so that when you want to stretch your fabric, you pull it over the nails, and then the nails will hook on to the fabric. And this brings us to one of the most important parts about tufting: stretching your fabric as tight as humanly possible. If you think it's tight enough, it's not. That's the rule. No, okay, so don't like overdo it and then it, I don't know, explodes or something, but you want to really be yanking on this fabric on all sides. Think of like a drum. It needs to be that tight. You go bonk. The fabric should make that same sound. Bonk. You know what I'm saying? You could play a beat on that. The reason why it needs to be so tight, and the reason why this is so important, especially for learning tufting, because when you're tufting, you have to be putting a lot of pressure on the tufting gun to keep it against the fabric. If the fabric is loose, loosey-goosey, flaccid, no. If the fabric is loose, then when you put the tufting gun in, it's gonna, you know what I'm saying? Bend, and you're going to try to tuft, and it's going to be like, nah, not having it. It's not going to hold on to your stitches. But if the fabric is tight and you put your tufting gun in, you're going to have a great day, and it's going to hold on to your stitches. And since the fabric, if it's loose, you won't be able to keep like constant pressure on your tufting gun against the fabric. So sometimes the fabric will get eaten by the scissors, and you're going to put holes in your fabric. Also, you'll see on this fabric there are lines, and that's so you can make sure that when you stretch it, you can use those lines to make sure everything is like straight and even along all sides. They don't have to be perfect. You can see that mine aren't perfect right now. So now you can see that this line kind of has a dip here. You can use these lines to make sure that it's not doing that, and that it's as straight as possible. Why is this important? Well, if the lines aren't straight, that means your fabric could be kind of wonky, and then your design might come out like this. All right, next, most important thing is pressure. This area is the tip of the tufting gun, obviously. This piece here with the hook at the top is the foot. And then, of course, we have the tip. When you're tufting, you want to push the tip in. We're going to be adults about this, so that the foot is right up against the fabric. And I don't mean like lightly. I mean like you want to be pushing against the fabric, and you need to keep like constant pressure. For the sake of learning, I'm going to tuft without pushing it against the fabric like I normally do. I'm going to tuft with bad pressure, light pressure, if you will. And this is what that line looks like. Kind of torn. We've also got holes in the fabric. If the fabric isn't tight or you're not pressing hard enough, the scissors will not be able to cut the yarn. It's going to cut the fabric. So this is what a line should look like when you're pressing and giving the right amount of pressure. A nice even line. I want to reiterate that we are pressing the tip in, but not like crazy. I'm not trying to like shove the gun through the fabric, but just enough pressure where the kickback of the gun doesn't push the tip of the gun out of the fabric. And along with giving the right amount of pressure, you also want to make sure that your gun is like perfectly level. And by that I mean, don't tuft like this. Don't tuft like this. Tuft so that the gun is straight into the fabric. Okay, this tip might seem a little silly to some. Again, this was my first time. You know, sometimes nobody tells you that the only direction the tufting gun goes is up. So yeah, there's no tufting down like how I was trying to do in that clip. If you're holding the gun like this, there's no going from the top down. However, what you can do if you really want to tuft a line from the top down, instead of holding the tufting gun like this, you can do this. Basically, the only direction that the tufting gun goes is forward with the top of the foot here. So like the hooked part of the foot, that's the direction that the gun is going to go in. Maybe an easier way to think of it is the top of the tufting gun is the direction that the gun is going to go in. That's why when you flip it this way, the top of the gun is now on the bottom. So you can tuft going from the top down. Depending on your tufting gun, when you flip it upside down, you see that the yarn is kind of like crossing some of our gears and our doodads here that move. I've never had a problem with my current tufting gun. Mine is the AKV, but past tufting guns I've had have definitely not allowed such things to occur. The yarn can sometimes get caught in anything that's going on here. We've got a lot of moving parts, or depending on what kind of gear you have. I have one that's like a weighted situation, so it kind of like throws its weight around rather than it being like a gear. It could also get caught in that. Had that happen many times. I also have a clip of that. So definitely as a beginner, I would recommend just tufting from the bottom up. You can also do curved lines. Curved lines can be a bit more difficult. What I personally do and recommend for curved lines is turning the speed of your gun down. Every tufting gun should have this little speed dial on the bottom. You can change the speed whether you can see the number or not. So once you have turned the speed of your gun down, let's say we want to do like a circle right here. So basically you want the top of the foot here to be facing the direction that you want your line to go. And so instead of trying to do it all in one, which that actually was pretty good. But doing curved lines for the first time is difficult, so I wouldn't recommend doing it all in one like that. Instead, I would recommend doing it in little bursts. So that way, in between each burst, you can tuft, adjust, tuft, adjust, tuft, adjust. And that way you have more control. You can even like do the bursts quicker, however you want to do it, while making sure you use this handle. Best way for you to feel more stabilized. Making small adjustments in between. Moving on to my last tip, spacing out your lines. This is also kind of up to you, however much you want to pack your rug, but it does matter for like the feeling that you want your finished rug to have. So if you pack it a lot, it's going to kind of be, I don't know how to describe this. It's going to kind of be a bit harder, not squishy or, super soft. It's going to be quite dense. So what I like to do for the next line to fill it in is basically have the foot be on top of my previous line. If you have your lines too close, it could get a little too packed. So you can see where the left side of the foot is landing on my previous line. Basically, I just don't want them on top of each other or too far apart from each other. But again, this is up to you. However you want to pack your rugs, go for that. I do think it also is worth noting, different yarns are obviously different sizes. I usually make rugs with a size 4, medium worsted. So my biggest tip for like spacing and getting the feel of the rug that you want is to literally feel it out. Tuft a section, go to the other side of your frame and kind of see how it feels. If you think you want to pull some out, you can totally do that. I usually use tweezers if I want to be like really specific, or I use this, which is the head of a rug carver. And this is so nice for literally just like going in. Actually, I'm going to show you this. You've got this like nice flat side, and I'll just kind of go in from the side and pull out. Ta-da! So yeah, I honestly feel like these 4 tips will get you going. Again, I plan on making more of these videos. I have a whole giant list of tips I want to get through, but if there's anything specific that you'd like me to touch on, let me know. If you are a beginner at tufting, I would love to see your work. If you want to share it, we have a whole Discord of artsy people where we all post our work, and if you want to share your work in there, we would love to see it. The link for that is down in the description, along with all the other links if you'd like to check it out. I also have rugs on my website. I have a little strawberry, a little bowl of macaroni and cheese, a Labubu, the Flame Hottie, and, oh, skeleton hand with rose. But yeah, thanks so much for watching this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it and that it helped you. The link is down in the description. I love y'all to absolute death. I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye. I can't believe how long I've been doing